Welcome back to Action 2 News at 6. An Outagamie County judge will soon decide whether a troubled Grand Chute motel is allowed to stay in business.
As we first alerted you back in May, both the Grand Chute Town Board and the Outagamie County Health Department revoked the operating license for the Roadway Inn. Tonight, another motel with the same owner is facing a similar fate. According to court documents, the Roadway Inn has a high volume of police calls involving drugs, violent assaults, and prostitution. This includes a call in August of 2022, which Action 2 News first alerted you to, involving two men who overdosed. Both died after being transported to a hospital. The men were staying in a room with 5 other transient workers, none of whom appeared on the motel registry.
In a First Alert update, Jason Zimmerman has new details from court documents just filed.
The owner of the Roadway Inn, Aurora Hospitality, has filed 2 lawsuits in Outagamie County Court against the county's health department and also the town of Grand Chute, appealing the decision to revoke its operating license and also claiming that the town's ordinance allowing them to do so is unconstitutional. Just last week, the town board also held off on renewing the license of the Quality Inn just down the road, which is also owned by Aurora Hospitality, citing that the company owes various taxes to the tune of approximately $87,000. Plus, the town clerk says the owner has additional legal issues just now coming to light.
The town was recently made aware that Hardeep Aurora, owner and operator of Aurora Hospitality, is a convicted felon, and his felony conviction substantially relates to the operation of his hotel business.
Police also tell us the allegation is something they're actively investigating and could result in a complaint being filed in the next 2 weeks. As for problems related to the Quality Inn, police had this to say.
Call volume is something that we've looked at. I think there have been some failed health inspections that we've examined at the Quality Inn as well. But the problems at the Quality haven't risen to the level that we saw at the Roadway.
In a hearing May 9th, the owner attempted to defend himself before the town board, saying he's not responsible for the actions of those who book rooms.
Instead of, why don't you catch those criminals who are bringing drugs from Chicago or Milwaukee or whatever, instead of harassing a small business owner who's trying to, survive my family, my employees? Is that fair?
The town's licensing committee will take up the Quality Inn's operating license next week. No court date has been set yet for the Roadway Inn's appeal. Reporting in Grand Chute, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.